Dear friends, these are difficult days to be a journalist. Near record numbers were killed last year, bringing the world the facts. And even more were imprisoned. The most dangerous place for journalists? Less than a day's drive from where you are sitting now, reporting on Gaza has become almost impossible. There is a near total ban on international journalists, and vast numbers of local media workers have been displaced or killed. We've heard disturbing reports of journalists being attacked, despite being clearly identifiable as press. Overall, at least 116 journalists have paid with their lives in Gaza. And much of what we know is thanks to the heroic efforts by Palestinian journalists on the ground. We rely, too, on exhausted and stretched United Nations staff members. Our own UN feeds that we provide to the media have become vital sources of accurate information for reporters covering Gaza as well as the general public, but they are no substitute for the independent journalists who could and should be free to do their jobs in safety. I join you today from the United Nations headquarters with a message. The UN stands firmly behind a free and independent media. As the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, has said, without press freedom, we won't have any freedom. A free press is not a choice, but a necessity. Yet journalism is growing only harder and more dangerous by the year. Gaza is just one part of the story. Around the world, independent media are suffering a political and financial onslaught. Some call it an extinction-level event. Nobel Peace Laureate Maria Ressa calls it death by 1,000 cuts. Too often, press freedom is coming under threat from political authorities, the very people who should be its guarantors. Too often, concerns over mis- and disinformation are used as a pretext to target opponents and journalists and restrict access to information. And too often, governments have resorted to drastic measures, blanket internet shutdowns and bans on platforms infringing on human rights. We see reporters facing surveillance and legal harassment. We see journalists, especially women, viciously attacked online. And we see newsrooms struggling to cope with scarce resources. As financial strains linked to the rise of social media continue to drain their coffers. And that's not all. Public trust in the media is melting away, along with overwhelmed audiences. The latest Reuters Institute survey found that 39% of people worldwide are now actively avoiding the news. They describe it as depressing, as relentless, and also boring. This while social media just keeps on growing. Large numbers of people now get their news only from social media. But what information are they getting? How can you get clean water from a dirty pipe? We know that platforms are powered by algorithms designed to amplify sensational content. Some actively downrank reliable information from traditional news outlets. The result? News deserts, murky online worlds of rumor and pseudoscience, spaces where the facts are buried beneath hate and conspiracy theories. Those same algorithms have turned extremist views mainstream, normalizing anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim bigotry, racism, and other hate speech, and undermining trust in institutions, climate science, and vaccines. In short, trust in the facts. All this as leaps in generative AI set off new alarm bells. Fake news sites made to look like the real thing, AI search tools that scrape and summarize journalism without paying. Deepfakes so convincing, so personalized that even seasoned journalists and fact checkers are struggling to spot them in real time. No wonder many people no longer know what to believe. Facts are the foundation on which we build our shared reality. And how do we build that reality? How do we build bridges? How do we build bridge divides that if we can't agree on the facts? The German philosopher Hannah Arendt once wrote, quote, "Freedom of opinion is a farce unless factual information is guaranteed and the facts themselves are not in dispute." Today, many basic facts are very much in dispute, and this is impacting our efforts to make the world a better place. At the UN, our vision is a world where we can all live in peace, in dignity, and equality on a healthy planet. My job is to lead our communications response, disseminating clear and reliable information, not only about wars in Gaza, Sudan, or Ukraine, but also about all the existential crises our world is facing. But getting the UN's messages heard in today's post-fact era has become increasingly complex. Next week, global leaders gather here in New York for the Summit of the Future, discussing ways to shape our future together, to secure peace, tackle inequality, and confront climate change. The UN will grasp this chance to push for meaningful change, to uphold human rights, to drive bold climate action and turbocharge progress on sustainable development. But we can't do this alone. Meaningful change can only come with a well-informed and engaged public. And for that, we need a well-funded media free to report in the public interest. Now, more than ever, people are crying out for that ethical, professional journalism they can trust, a press that acts with integrity, a press that stands up for the vulnerable and that delivers facts that break through the noise. Securing a long-term future for this kind of journalism is one of the UN's key priorities, and that's why we are urging governments to recommit to press freedom, to protect journalists and end impunity for crimes against them, and end practices that curtail editorial independence. Launched this summer, the United Nations Global Principles for Information Integrity is a set of recommendations for just that, for healthy information environments, firmly rooted in human rights. And they are, I believe, a powerful advocacy tool for us all, one that we hope will also help attract funding for public interest media in places that need it most. There is a long way yet to go, but let me close with this. Our struggle may be existential, but we aren't alone. We all share a debt to those who bring us the facts at great personal risk. They deserve our highest recognition, respect, and solidarity. So let's not let them down. Let's use this time together and seek ways to renew and strengthen our alliances and unite in service of the facts. Thank you.